Hello my scrappy friends and welcome to my channel today. This share is another for cut to you, and I'm using this super fun summer days cut file which I have used in my background rather than for my title. As you can see, I have used the stunning new Sunkissed collection by Coco Vanilla Studio, and I've got a bit of a silhouette tutorial here for you. So what I've done is I've laid out the cut file, I've copied and pasted it a number of times, changed the size, and just kind of set it up in Silhouette Design Studio in a configuration that I think I'll like. I have gone ahead and cut all of this on textured white cardstock. And what I'm doing here is I've drawn some horizontal lines between each of the titles. And you can see I'm just centering those, so I've selected them all. Firstly, I select the wrong center. It goes all in the center of the page. Then I get it correct. So I'm going to get my Cameo to draw those lines in. And then from here, I'm also going to get it to draw in a few of these letters so that I get my placement correct. So I've got this going at real time for you. What I did to start with was I selected... I right-clicked on the cut file and I selected Release Compound Path. I deleted the outside line and I'm going again, and then I'm going back in and removing all of the internal letters of everything except for the two S's. And like I said, I'm going to get my Cameo to pencil these lines in. Now, I was having a few dramas with my Cameo, but... I'll get into that in a minute. So what I've done here is I have then selected everything on the page, right click, create compound path so that I can just select it all. What I've done is gone to the send panel, and I want to use tool 2 because I was having some issues, like I said, with my Cameo. And I put a pencil into the tool 2 slot and had it sketch out all the S's and the lines, those horizontal lines, so that I had an idea of exactly what I was doing. What I've got here is that piece of cardstock that my silhouette sketched onto. You can see that I've got all my pencil lines on there. I have also gone over this paper with some clear gesso. I had a feeling that with this technique that I wanted to use, that it would probably, the ink would probably move a bit better if I had the clear gesso on there, so I've gone ahead and done that off camera. And I am, as you can see, working with some Distress Oxides. This colour is Faded Jeans, so I literally smooshed that onto, like, wiped it across my page. Thank you, Sue Plum, for the inspiration. And got a wet paintbrush, and I have just gone straight over the top of that. You will see in a minute that I do abandon this painter's tape because I wasn't loving the lines that I got, but I knew that with that Faded Jeans first, well, I was pretty sure with that first one I would have dramas keeping it within the lines, but you can see from where I've done that top line, it's actually not that hard. This colour is Peacock Feathers, and you can see that I am doing like the centre line the darkest, and then I'm going to go out with my rainbow colours from there. You can see how it's kind of feathered along that line and down the bottom, and then up the top it's just like a softer line. This colour is something evergreen bow. Which one is it? I did in my unboxing share that I also thought that I think the Lucky Clover was a good match, but I decided to go with this colour. This is Mustard Seed. And I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, making sure I dry off in between layers. I was fine with them overlapping a little bit, but I didn't want the colours to run. And then this last one is Picked Raspberry, and I think the yellow and the pink really just set this off and make it really bright and fun and colourful. As I was doing it, I was like, oh gosh, do I want to add the yellow and the pink? I'm like, yep, I'll do it, and if I don't like it, I can always start again and use this for something else, but I'm so happy with how this turned out. So I'm going to come in with some splatters. I have used Distress Oxide sprays for some of them, and I have used some Lindy's Magical Starburst sprays for some of the other colours, because I didn't have the oxide spray, and again I've dried that off as best I can. The peacock feathers I have got the Distress Oxide sprayed for, and I really do not like the way that this ends up splattering. It's really weird. This colour just kind of bled everywhere. You can see up in the top right there, it's just kind of blending. I'm like, what's going on here? By the time the page is said and done though, you can't tell, which is one of the fantastic things about the gesso. So you can see here, it's just blending. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? So I'm trying to dab it up and I'm like, oh my goodness, that just looks like a big mess. But you can see here, I've kind of gone back in and blended some of it out. I've just used my wet paintbrush again and it's worked perfectly. I'm really happy with how that background is looking. So onto my cut files. Now, I am going to make a disclaimer here. I thought that my background was dry. It is clearly not, and you do see, I think, at one point that I've got ink all over my hands. It's really quite funny. If you've never used the Distress Oxides as well, it takes a little while for the colour to come off. I'm going to continue with my background here, which is where these cut files are coming in. I've got them all cut and they're off to the left hand side. I'm just making sure, so you can still vaguely see my S's there. And I'm just using, you can see here my Scotch Tacky, applying that along the center line of those cut files and sticking that down. Then I'm going to go off camera and you can see here, they're the colors, and do some stitching. So I've done tone on tone, and then the vertical lines between, I've gone with gold. I remembered at the last minute I was going to go white. I remembered at the last minute that there's some gold in this collection, so I've done gold stitching on my vertical lines, horizontal lines even, and around my photo. And I'm loving the way this background is looking. I was undecided at this point if I was going to keep my threads long or not, so I just left them long, and you see what I do with them a bit later. I have mounted my photo onto one of the 3x4 cards, which is that rainbow ombre, which I'm a little bit sad that I've used, but I'm like, just use the things that you love before you don't love them anymore. Though I can't see me not loving this. I did try this photo with my title piece without a big-ish piece of pattern paper like what I've got here, and the title especially just kind of blended in. I was like, okay, this is not going to work. So I have gone to my A5 paper stack and I pulled out this dark blue, which I thought was a perfect compromise. I was like, oh no, how am I going to make this work? And then I went, you know what, the photo's kind of going in the center-ish, and I've only got that one line of the dark blue, so that's going to work really well. This is the only 12x12 pattern paper I cut into, which is the cut apart, and I'm just going to use the pink and the yellow label from it. You can see I'm just chopping that apart. Tuck that in there. Didn't really like the way it was sitting, so I'm just going to chop the end off. Pop that in with one of my ephemera packs. I've also got some tissue paper layered behind my photo. I'm really happy with how this is looking. So I'm just going to move those threads out the way. Like I said, I still wasn't sure what I was going to do with these threads. I'm just going to stick that down. That title, in case you're wondering, is an acrylic piece. It is from Annabelle, which was from Anna's Craft Cupboard. I think I've mentioned before that if you are interested, I know that they're doing cake toppers and things now. Creations for You, I think it's called, on Instagram and Facebook. It's where I got my birthday cake topper from as well. So, yeah. So I decided that I was going to use some of the florals here. And I was like, I've got a whole pack of florals. I can just add the florals. So I'm going with a mix of colours. Trying to make sure I don't have like a yellow on top of a yellow or a pink right next to something else pink. Making sure I include a couple of leaves as well. Just playing with the placement here. Making sure I'm happy with it. And I'm just going to start sticking that down. I have mounted my photo onto some foam. I've also mounted that whole blue piece of pattern paper onto some foam. And then my title, that acrylic piece, is also like on top of the photo, so this is like 3 or 4 ish foam-ish kind of layers high. Just layering things up here, adding some foam behind a few bits and pieces, like sticking some flat. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've gone back in and I've like curled up the edges of things as I've gone. Add this leaf in here. Too much glue. I'm really happy with how that is looking. I'm like, the wooden buttons, I have to get one in. Thought about adding some more words in, and I was like, I've got all those words in the background, then I've got the title, then I've got my journaling. I'm like, I might just skip the words for now. So I settle on the rainbow, and then I've got that yellow so happy up to the top. I don't think I get anything else. Oh no, I get a couple of these little word phrases from the sticker sheet. I'll muck around with where they're going. One says good vibes only, and the other says together. This is a photo of my kids from last summer, so 2020. We just went down to our local adventure playground. They were being nice to each other, and I managed to get them into a photo together where they're both reasonably happy. So I was like, quick, snap! I'm going to add another rainbow into the left-hand side there, and I was like, I think I need a third rainbow. And I searched through everything, and then I found that pattern paper in the A5 paper stack. I'm just going to trim this little guy out, and he fits beautifully up there. I'm just going to move the layers around a bit here. I'm like, yep, that's perfect. Stick him in there. And this is where I made a decision about the loose threads from all my stitching. So you can see, well, I don't know if you can, I've got some gold thread there that I'm sticking down, and with the other threads I was like, this just looks way too messy, too crazy, doesn't make any sense. It's thread, like how does thread even make sense anyway? So I decided to go through and chop off all of the ends of these threads, which I do not make you watch, but I feel like that just gives it just finishes it off nicely. I'm going to add another 2 clusters, another 2 little things of thread. I did try just bunching this up underneath my wood button, and I was like, nope. So I've pulled the wood button off, and I'm just winding it around my finger to get it to about the right size. Sorry for my head. Just adding some glue there and onto the button. I love these things. Love them. I'm just going to add a bit more glue to make sure it doesn't move too much, and it sticks to my glue bottle, of course. And then I'm going to do a bit more thread. My little bobbin was being a pain in the butt. So you can see I'm kind of working with 3 clusters, but it's all so close together that when you look at the cluster, it looks like one big one, but when you look at the thread, you've got the 3 little ones around the photo and the journaling. I'm just using my tacky glue around there, and I'm just gluing down the ends so that they kind of sit nicely in fun little curly bits. So have you managed to pick up this collection yet? Have you got a favourite thing from the collection? I cannot honestly say that I have a favourite thing. I just love all of it. It's so beautiful. The yellow, maybe that's my favourite thing, the actual yellow, the yellow in here. So my final touches, I'm going to add some of these little gold foam stickers. My goodness me. I'm going to end up adding 3 lots of 2. You can see I'm trying to get that onto my title, but I was like, nope. And this flower is moving a lot. I'm like, what's going on here? As I photographed this, actually, my pink label with the journaling fell off. Took all my photos and then went, where's my label gone? I had to retrace my steps through the house to find it. So I'm going to tuck that one in under there. I'm like, they look a bit lonely. I'll go back in and add a second one to each little cluster. I really love how that looks. What am I doing? Oh, so I was going to add some gold splatters, and I was like, oh, hang on, before I do that, I'm going to lift up all the edges of these cut files, which is why I added the adhesive where I did, and why I've just sewn straight through the middle line. I've actually gone back and forward 3 times on it, just for a bit more messiness. I was a little bit concerned as I was making this, I'll be honest, that it was going to be too much, but I feel like those cut files kind of, they don't fade away into the background, but they're definitely part of the background, and they're not taking away from the layers on top. I think a big part of that is because I've got that blue pattern behind all of like my photo and journaling and stuff. But I really love this page. I'm so happy with how it came together. I've added my gold splatters, and I've got a ton of photos here for you. I really hope that you enjoy my share today. This was a super fun page to make. I mean, rainbow colours, beautiful sunshiny yellow. Oh, I just love it. So yeah, this page was created for Cut to You using the Summer Days cut file, which I'll make sure is linked in the description box below. If you do have any questions, please make sure you leave them below. As always, thank you ever so much for stopping by. Welcome to any new subbies that I have. And a big thank you for joining me and choosing to spend your time with me. I'm not even sure what I've got coming up next, but I hope that you've enjoyed this share, and I hope that you'll hang around and for my next share. And until then, have a fantastic scrappy day.